Hello everybody, my name is Brian from BJ's Garage 570 located in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and we're going to do an installation today on a 2015 Dodge Challenger Scat Pack, and this is gator skin wrapped. We also going to show you the comparison between the APR splitter and the Defender Series comp splitter. There's some very obvious differences and some very not so obvious differences. First of all, it's the price. $400 for the APR splitter versus the $285 for the Defender Series comp splitter, which is now available. We're going to do a little bit of a weight check on both of them. We're going to start with the APR splitter, and let's see here. And the APR splitter is weighing in approximately 10.8 pounds, and that is carbon fiber, which we all know is supposed to be lightweight. Now we got the Defender Series comp splitter, which is an Alumilite composite material, a little different than carbon fiber. We're going to weigh this now. It should be around 6 pounds, 6.2 pounds. So you can see that there's actually a great difference in weight between the two. And when you're mounting something to your vehicle, you want to make sure that it's not only lightweight, but it's also as rigid. So we're going to do a little bit of an experiment here with the APR splitter. Now, the APR splitter, again, is carbon fiber, and it's supposed to be very rigid. Now, you can see here, shakes just like a bed sheet. You can only imagine at high speeds and what it actually can do. It can deflect greatly. It can actually greatly affect the performance. Now, a little bit of comparison to the Defender Series comp splitter. Again, weighing at 6.2 pounds. This one is a little bit more rigid. And it is lighter, cheaper, and it performs the same function of providing downforce to the front end of the car, where it optimizes your traction and control at higher speeds. Now we're going to get to it, taking off the front of this car. Chris is going to be assisting me here, and basically I'm going to show you step by step on how we're going to take the front end off without damaging anything. Chris, if you want to come over here to the tool walkthrough. Now what you're going to need for this this project is a few simple tools. You got these pry tools here. You're going to use these for the rivets right behind the wheel well here. Okay, you got a Phillips head screwdriver. You got a 30 seconds drill bit, 3/8 ratchet, very long extension 3/8, 10mm deep socket. We also got this crescent wrench, the rods, which our customers provided custom rods that he wanted, the provided hardware, a rivet tool with the supplied rivets, which also can be found at Harbor Freight, the drill that's fully charged, floor jack, preferably low profile if you dropped your car on H&Rs or coilovers. And I believe we have one more tool that's kind of critical to this, is this little joint here, and you're going to need this especially in this upper corner here, which is very hard to access. We'll start first with removing these decorative covers here, the ones with the cup holders, and they are very simple to remove. You can simply just pop it up here and remove them. Now you would like to get them out of your way completely, because things can become a little bit of a mess in here. Now once we have those removed, you go on to remove these clips. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's these 6 clips. These ones you do not have to remove at this time. So we're going to start is actually, you could use your fingertips, you could use a flathead screwdriver or that plastic removal tool, and they come out relatively easy. You want to be careful that you do take your time. You don't want to scratch the paint, you don't want to scratch the plastics, and especially if you're working on a buddy's car, you really want to remove your wedding ring, because that will scratch the paint. So we're removing the last clip here, and there you go. Next we're going to be doing these bolts here. They are very hard to see. There are two of these on the other side. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our little joint and our extension and our 3/8 ratchet, and we're going to remove both of these nuts. As you can see here, we made contact with this 10mm bolt here, and again, if you want to just check it real quick, you got this little joint on there. This will help you get around the corner and be able to remove that bolt without cutting your hands open. Alright, so basically we lifted the car up in the air here. We have a 2.5-ton jack. I put a spare tire behind the jack as a safety. Now you could use jack stands, but for our purpose we really don't need it that high up in the air. It's really up to you what you would like to use. Now we already moved these clips, we removed the 2 nuts here. Our next step is to remove the clips on the bottom of the lip. Once we remove the clips on the bottom of the lip, we're going to work on the fenders, and then we'll get this front bumper right off. Alright, so now we got to remove these 2 front service panel bolts. There's one here, labeled 1 and 4. We're going to remove those right now. Now these should come out pretty easy. And also with the Defender Series splitter, it will not interfere with your oil changes or anything like that. It'll only hang approximately right here. You still have access to your service panel bolts. You still have access to your oil filter. All right, there's one. All right. Now that should drop your service panel. Alright, so we're going to be working on taking these little pins off. Now these are relatively easy, these push pins. Now there's 3 on each side. There's, oh, I'm sorry, you might be calling me later. No, 1, 2, 3 here, 3 here. There's 3 on the other side, and there would be another 3 on the, I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the lower. So we're going to take these push pins off. Like, as you can see, they're relatively easy to pop off. And then this one, hope I don't get no dirt in my eyes. Yeah, this one's being a baby. You are going to encounter that a couple of these will be harder than others. I don't know why. I'm gonna get my plastic removal tool. Alright. That's one side. I'm gonna work on the other. Because our customer actually had this car apart before, you can see that these rivets may be a little bit different than yours. Now if you could come over to my car. These are more along the line of the factory rivets here, right there. So they're a little bit of troublesome to get out, but they're relatively easy at the same time. But you just can't reuse these. These are usually one-time use. I've tried to reuse them, and they're just not that effective. So to replace those rivets, again, as I told you in my intro, is that you'd really like to get one of these little rivet guns. They come with the assorted rivets. Maybe found at a Harbor Freight for like $7. But for our customer's case here, this should be relatively easy. We should be able to pop these pins right back in. Maybe, maybe not. Let's see. And there will be 3 on each side. This one's giving me trouble. There it is. Alright, so again, you'll have to remove these out of both sides. There's 3 of them on each side. And what you're going to want to do to get to that one bolt, that one pesky bolt back here, you peel this plastic back. It'll be really hard to see, but it's all the way up in there. And one of the reasons why I need that really long extension. Getting it off is normally not a problem. Alright, so before we start on that back bolt, let's focus on these. Removing this bolt right here will remove you to pop the bumper cover right out and away from the body. And that little bolt all the way up there will help it release from the front end. So we're going to start with this one, and this is usually a really easy one. It's just that these plastics are a little rough on the edges, so if you prefer to wear gloves, you can. I find gloves cumbersome sometimes, but there will be one of these on each side of the car here. A few moments here is when we actually pop this side away from the car. And a lot of people think, oh no, it's getting broke. But it'll clip right back into position. You'll never notice the difference. It's all part of the process, actually removing the front clip. So we're going to be doing this little jalopy next. This is actually where you actually pop the front cover away from the vehicle. Now it's going to make a loud crackling noise, almost sound like it's broken, but don't worry. There you go. You got to release it. There you go. I'm going to go on the other side. Alright, same thing. Alright, now you can see the front bumper is already lifting away from the vehicle. So we should be good to actually pull her off now. Another thing to think about is right here in the upper corner here, there's going to be this little plastic, like a guide pin. Now you have to be careful not to break it up. It's too fragile. There's one on each side. So first here is going to be, it's just going to be pulling the front clip off. Try to avoid breaking those out. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our hand right underneath the headlamp here. There's going to be, well, it's really not much to grip on. And right here at the headlamp, we're going to grab the bottom of the bumper. Pull her off. Alright. Right there. So we got the front clip off here, and the next thing we got to do is work on this main harness right here. It's tricky. There you go. Now the bumper is fully removed. I'm going to get this guy out of the way. So, we'll look at it from the front end here. Looks scary. But again, anybody else can do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach the splitter to these points right here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are going to be your main bolting locations. And what we're going to have to do is remove these screws and remove these clips. You're also going to have one here, and here's one of your bolts here. So you're going to have one here, and one you're going to have to drill on this side and on the opposite, so you can actually have the end of the splitter tucked in so it doesn't sag. As you can see here, a lot of you may be questioning what's going on here. Our customer had a sheet glow type of setup, so he has a little bit of trim here. He has the sheet glow underneath here, or which we're going to install on the bottom end of the splitter. Alright, so we got the bumper off now. Now we retrieved one of the bolts out of the back of the fender here. Like I said, you know, if you drop them, it's no big deal. They'll either be here in the belly pan or they'll be up here in the fender. That's where it usually sits if you end up dropping it. So basically what we're going to do, we're going to go over kind of on how we're actually going to bolt this directly to this part of the belly pan here and the front clip. You got these 5 mounting locations here that have these really small screws in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove these screws and we're going to remove these clips. here in the corners, you're going to see another screw, another clip. This one's going to have to be removed, and we're going to drill a miscellaneous hole over here. The Defender Series comp splitters come pre-drilled, so there's no guesswork. So we're going to drill that and the other side in a moment. Now, as you can see here, our customer actually has this cut out. If you're wondering why, he has an underglow kit which he had installed. So what we're going to do is we're going to relocate it on the bottom of the splitter so you can still use his underglow kit. Side note here, these outer two screws from the front end you're going to have to remove, and these clips, these are where the rods are going to come through. You need to use the supplied washers that are with it. They are oversized washers, and the reason for it is to distribute the load in this area. This is the grill and the grill reinforcement area. This is going to be the strongest area we're going to be able to mount the rods without damaging your front end. Now, for the guys that have the older versions or using the splitter for the 2011 to 2014 SRT 392s, if you're planning on drilling into the cover, which is very thin plastic, you have to be mindful that it is plastic or fiberglass. So what you're going to want to do is use a very large washer or stack washers to distribute the load in that area, because under high speeds what happens is you have all that downforce, the rod's going to want to pull through the bumper, and we don't want that. So for the, again, the guys with the 2011 to 2014 SRT 392s, ensure that you use large washers. For here, you could use the supplied washers. That's for the 2015-2016 SRT 392 or the Scat Pack. So we're going to get started on taking these 5 screws out, these clips, and right here, and we'll show you in a moment what it looks like, what it should look like with the splitter bolted up. Alright, so we're going to be working on removing these 7mm bolts here. There's going to be 7 of them. So we're going to start with this, and basically it's just to remove the belly pan. Now the reason for it again is to actually guide the splitter hardware right through these OEM holes. And so 7 of these are going to mate up directly with the splitter. The other ones are going to be bolted directly into the belly pan. Now, it's always good to have a second set of hands doing this. You can do it by yourself, but it definitely does help when you have a second set of hands. Especially when you're flipping the bumper back and forth from the side to, lifting it up. You don't want to crack anything, or so. Just be mindful. If you want to do this and you want to do it on your own and not have a professional installation, I mean, you want to save some money, I mean, definitely have a buddy come over, or even your son or somebody. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You just got to take your time. As soon as you start rushing stuff, that's when stuff goes wrong. So just be mindful of that. Just try to get a good day to do it. Unlike here where it's raining today. But we're trying to work through it right now. I mean, it's not supposed to be bad for the rest of the day, so hopefully we could give you a good shot at the end of the day here on what it's going to look like. Now, the entire installation takes approximately 3 to 3.5 hours. Now, if you just follow this video, you should be able to do it in the same time frame. If you're not watching this video, or you're just going to be doing it on your own, trial and error, perhaps maybe about 4 hours. But again, you don't have to be a stranger. You can send me a message or shoot me a text message, give me a call, and I can give you some guidance if you're in the middle of this and you need some help. Alright, so we're going to take these 7mm bolts off, and this whole panel will drop down. Got one more after this. Now it's going to be the same process as the 2009 2 current for the RTs, the SRTs, the Scat Packs. They're all going to be very similar in how this bolt pattern works. They're all going to have a similar setup. Now, if you're going to be doing an RT to an SRT front lip conversion, we could probably cover that in another video. I just did one last weekend, and let me tell you, it's much more difficult than actually doing the splitter. Basically, you're going to have to remove the front grille reinforcement which is a little time consuming and a little bit more scarier than what we're doing here. So here we are. We got the belly pan section taken out. You can see the service panel is dropped on the car over there. Okay, so now what we got to do is working on getting these clips out. Right here, you see them. They're these aluminum clips. So we're gonna pop them out from the other side. Sometimes you got to use them. There you go. These are what these look like. They have this little insert here. Basically, it holds it into position. These you're not going to use again. As I previously mentioned, you're going to have to remove some screws from the grill assembly here. You remove this one and this far one here. So we're going to remove those, and these are where the rods are going to go. All right, so basically what we're doing now, we put the hardware through the undercarriage up into those 7 holes that we previously mentioned with the clips. After you remove the clips, we place the bumper and the belly pan on top of the splitter and guide the hardware through. Use the supplied washers and the 3/16 lock nuts on the back side. So basically I already did a few of them for you. So you got a crescent wrench on the other side or any type of wrench, and just kind of crank it down to get it. Make sure you get it past the nylon insert in the back end. Alright, so you'll start seeing a little bit of indentation here. That's perfectly normal. You just want to make sure it's tight. So we're going to work on this last one here. Now these ones that are currently in here, these are off the factory holes. Then we're going to show you what to do on these outers here, which aren't factory holes. Now the whole purpose of using those holes are actually to help the outer ends kind of snug closer to the actual factory chin splitter. So let's get this one torqued down. I'll show you from the inside what it looks like. Now because our customer had that custom light bar, there's a few of the mounting locations here that are a little bit different. Now this bolt configuration is what is pre-drilled into the splitter when you get it. This is what I recommend you to use. Now he has a little bit of a channel cut there where he used for his sheet glow, so we're going to relocate those holes in a lower section. Now it's perfectly fine to actually drill into this, but you have to use all the hardware that is supplied with it. So I'm going to show you how to drill these outers first, and then we're going to flip her over and show you what it looks like. So again, take your drill bit, your drill, make sure it's fully charged, and just go through that inner plastic. Okay. Alright, so what we gotta do is we gotta flip her over now. I'll show you what the inside looks like with the hardware we already put in. So we got these 5 bolts, nuts, and washers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we got these outers here, which we use another factory hole location. And this is the outer that we drilled. So we got one on each side. And as you can see here, we removed the clips from the upper grill. So this is again where we're going to be guiding the splitter rod through. And that's one on each side. So as I previously mentioned, that the customer did remove this section, which if yours has been modified, you just use these holes that are indicated on the splitter itself, and it'll bolt right to the belly pan. See here, we added the splitter rods. They're torqued down on the bottom end and the top end. You can see here, they got the large washer, small washer, and nut, and it's the same thing on both sides. We have all the hardware in place now to get ready to mount it. We had to relocate these because there was a modification prior, but if you don't have any modifications and your belly pan is completely factory, you could use these holes, no issue at all. So we got all the hardware in place. We're about to put her back on in about 10 minutes here, and you should be able to see what it looks like when the car is lowered. Again, it takes about 3.5 hours total to install. But I tell you, I mean, it's coming out really nice right now. Alright, so first thing we have to do is get this harness right here, and pretty much the bumper is ready to go back on. Just the system here, getting it back on. I'm going to make sure that the pins are all lined up. Out, Chris. Alright, let me get underneath. Pull the bottom of the lip out. This. Alright, now we're in business. And that's one side. Alright, the next step would be putting these bolts back in here, the bolts at the top, bolts up here, and all the clips. So after we got the hardware installed on top and the sides here, we're going to get these 10mm bolts here that are on the skirt. We're going to thread those in, and then we're going to proceed to the bottom and put the surface panel bolts back in. And then after that, we're going to get all the body pins back in, and we should be good to go. Now basically we're going to be putting pop rivets back in this plastic here. The reason for it is because the pop rivets that were in there before, we can't use again. So basically this is a factory one. I found this is a factory one that pops out of there, and this is the Harbor Freight version, very close in diameter. And basically what you gotta do is you take your pop rivet tool, you drop it right in there, and you bring it nice and close, nice and slow, and there you go, OEM finish. And you repeat that same step both sides, 1, 2, 3, and we should be good to go. And here we have the Defender Series comp splitter fully installed. I hope the video really helped with you with your install. In comparison, not too shabby. I hope you're happy with your Defender Series splitter. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me at Brian Causer, BryanCauser7@gmail.com, or give me a phone call at 570-677-2569 if you need further assistance. Now we have, again, the Scat Pack and the SRT 392 available for purchase, and the RT also available for pre-order. And if you need any other information from us, feel free to contact us. And I hope the installation videos helped with your install. If you've been